Yes.
Okay. So we are waiting for a few more participants to join. So I would request everybody to wait for a few more minutes. After that, we will be starting. Thank you so much. To all of you. On behalf of BP Poddar Institute of Management and Technology, I, Dr. Leena Roy Malik, welcome all the students, the guardians, our faculty members, our placement head, Mr. Debashish Bokshi, our invited speaker, Dr. Arnav Bashu, and Momita ma'am from Yanja Positive Parenting LLP to the webinar. The webinar topic will be Ambit of Analytics and Management Studies. We feel extremely privileged to have Dr. Arnav Basu, who will be enlightening all of you with his valuable inputs. Dr. Arnav Basu is the co-founder and CEO of Yanja Positive Parenting LLP. It is a positive parenting and child development organization. He is also the co-founder and partner of a next generation advisory firm, Walk Water Consulting. He is an author, speaker, enthusiast in strategic innovation, business and predictive analytics, and a certified behavior and life coach. He has worked with majority of the top firms, including Fortune 500 companies in India, including many government and government departments. He had been awarded the Best Consultant Award worldwide by McKinsey in 2011. He has also received Budding Entrepreneur Award from GMBF in an international business startup forum in 2017. He is a gold medalist from IIM Calcutta and holds a doctorate degree from MIT Solon for his research in business model innovation using analytics. We welcome you, sir.
Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, thanks a lot. A very good morning to all of you. And it's been a privilege to be a part of and also been able to interact with the young minds. And I could see some familiar faces today. So hello, Devashish. I hope you remember me. Uh, and is Principal Sir also here?
Sir, I completely remember you. Devash is
Yeah.
this side. A
Yeah,
very
yeah,
good
yeah.
morning.
A very good
I
morning.
am actually on road, so there will be a lot of noises. Once I reach office, I will switch on the camera. It's
No
a
issues, no
pleasure to
issues.
interact with you after a long time, sir. I hope all is good.
Yeah. Everything is good. Thanks a lot. Yeah,
Thank you,
sure.
sir.
Yeah. And shall we start or we wait for a few more participants to join?
Yes, sir, you can start.
Okay. Thanks a lot. A very good morning to all the faculty members from BPP IMT, especially Leena ma'am, Sangeeta ma'am, Devashish sir, and all of you who had actually made this event possible. Especially after the COVID pandemic, we are still not been shifting towards a physical meeting and all. But it's been a privilege to be a part of this institution, because I have been interacting with a lot of students from this institution, and it gives me a lot of learning opportunities as well. So today the topic is the ambit of business management and analytics, and how does the future of work look like, so that you would be able to lead and conquer. So we will discuss about what sort of scope this education brings in, how the future of work looks like, and what sort of mindset and everything we need to bring in to actually make us succeed in the future world. That's actually going to be much more complex and competitive and innovative at the same time. So we will delve into those topics. So I am having a little bit of bandwidth issues. So right now you will be able to hear me. I will switch off my camera so that my voice is absolutely crystal clear to all of you. I hope that you all are actually being able to listen to me properly. Thanks a lot. So we will start with one important thing, that the careers of future. So how does the careers of future look like? The careers of future, if you remember that now the 65% of children who are entering primary school today will work in jobs that will not exist in 10 years from now. While the future can't be predicted with 100% certainty, there are some trends that indicate the kind of skills that will be needed in the future. Think about how many new inventions that we have grown up with: the internet, the smartphones, mapping the human genome, 3D printers. And these are just a few that I am naming now. There are lots happening each and every passing day. The number of innovations are also growing. So all these new technologies, ideas, and tools actually help people interact, companies compete, and industries operate. It's estimated that 375 million workers globally will need to learn new skills and change occupations by 2030. So businesses will need to future-proof their organizations. They will have to hire people with skills to work with new technologies and who can adapt as more and more innovations come online. So change is going to be an essential form of existence. While in 2019, we were preparing ourselves to thrive in a so-called VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. When expanded, VUCA when expanded is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. Little did we know that something like COVID will emerge and make us all rethink, realign, and re-strategize. And with every passing day, the challenges posed by COVID and its subsequent phases, we are noticing, and it's unnerving to note, that the skills that we were looking up today as the best skills, those are becoming outdated. The Future of Jobs report, prepared by World Economic Forum, has already undergone 2 rounds of modifications since 2015. And if we look at the future skills that they have mentioned to be the major contributors of success in future, and if we bucket them into 2 broad categories, it would be interesting to note that it caters towards technology and management on one side, while managing behavior on the other side of the spectrum. A McKinsey report on how to sustain and succeed in a post-COVID scenario indicates that we need to think deeply and create an ecosystem of managing business and consumer behavior in an environment of collaboration and co-creation. The option, therefore, for current students like you is to respond to these market demands, is to evolve and make rapid decisions about your career path and take actions. And if I simply put it, you have to become more agile to focus on more potential future possibilities, align your interests and capabilities towards the opportunities so that you are able to achieve success. Now, you would be wondering, then why are we moving into management education? This has been there for quite some time. So how are we future proofing ourselves? Can it transform my career towards a future success as discussed? So let's discuss few highlight points why a management education is an enlightening journey in itself. And what could be a scope to an ever ascending corporate career? Can this be really translated to reality? Now, what happens is sometimes decisions are taken just because it happens to be the trend, or my friends are picking it up, so I have to do it. Or maybe that's the in thing, the quote unquote in thing. That's why we take these paths. Of course, there is nothing wrong in it, but it is always better to have clarity, have your skills and capabilities aligned with the right opportunities to derive these benefits of success. Now, what does management education bring in? Some decades back, having a management qualification seemed to be an added advantage to success at the corporate growth level. Now, many branded and blue chip companies have made it a policy that the management grads would even be required at the entry levels. They are tagged as management trainees, and in various departments, these are the trainees that are actually moving up the corporate ladder. Having a management degree is also an added weapon when being considered for promotion and higher positions in the corporate structure. What happens is if you do not have a professional degree, often it becomes a constraint when someone starts entering the workforce. That way, a specialized course like management education is always an advantage. Now, what is management education also bringing in is that it helps you become jack of all trades, not necessarily following that adage saying jack of all trades, master of none, but it gives you an opportunity, a holistic approach towards life, toward career. So how does it do that? If you look at a career option of a chartered accountant, even at the top level, he will limit his skill to accounting and audit. The mechanical engineer can supervise production as per standards, but cannot assure capacity production if there is a slump in demand. The management profession, on the other hand, has the flexibility and capability to assess the external market conditions, at the same time, determine the ballooning of cost in the internal department of the company. They can also suggest remedial measures. And therefore, management education, what it brings in is a overall personality development. It is no longer just about a subject knowledge. This course prepares to have better presentation. You have interpersonal skills by fine tuning your communication. And this communication ability is enhanced from the rigorous trainings, the group discussions, the case studies, this sort of talks and exposures that are provided as part of this curriculum. This overhauling of a student from a class 12 towards a corporate career, between that, this journey of management education, if taken, if not taken, would have painstakingly taken long, long years to actually hone these sort of skills. Now, when your personality is developed to a certain level, you also ooze confidence. And having high confidence is also a gateway to future success. The present day career scenario demands self esteem and ability to instill confidence. These include colleagues, superiors, external customers, partners, etc. Now, for them to have confidence in you, to translate that, first, self confidence is needed to be inculcated in yourself. And this is where management education plays a tremendous role. It also helps you inculcate some skills of team building, because if you look at the future of jobs report that I was talking about a bit earlier, managing human behavior, the first and important aspect is how do you gel with the team? And management education, it is one of the most important aspects for success and growth is team building, both in jobs. Even if you do a startup or an entrepreneurial journey, you need to lead a team. So leading a team and motivating them to deliver the result is the core component of any organizational growth. It is the team that ultimately succeeds. And for that team to reach its goal, the best in it should come out. It happens only through a great leadership skill. And not necessarily, you have to remember one thing, that yes, you being the driver of that organization, being the startup owner or the co-founder or the CEO of that organization, not only is important, it's also important to impart that leadership skill in your team. If you remember when Sachin Tendulkar has actually debuted against Pakistan in 1989, he was not the captain of that team. But from that day till the day he retired, though he was a failure as a captain, his capabilities has actually helped other leaders hone that. So the leaders have to actually understand who has the capability and also then align them. Now, to do that, you need to actually broaden your horizon, and management education here plays a big role to actually give you that perspective. It also gives you entrepreneurial abilities. There are many seen in the current area that many students, after passing out of the management education, perhaps do not want to go for jobs as well. They want to do something of their own. They want to do startups, which will become unicorns. Now, to do that, with the zeal of setting this organization, it becomes much more easier if you have an exposure of management education where these sort of skills, these sort of verticals are being looked at in a much more wider view. Even there are certain students who are in the management education because they want to take up their family business to the next level. So family business is also no longer restricted to specific domains and specific pockets. It now requires strategic thinking and knowledge to take them to the next level, and where management education plays a big role. Subject specialization, as more and more sectors get added to the economy, the growth of a particular sector is the corollary to the expansion of another. So how is it? So if we are actually making a car workshop, the ancillary units, which does a lot of component manufacturing, which does a lot of paints towards that car manufacturing setup, will also have a boost. So all these will come up. And when it comes up, you need to be prepared to cater to these specific verticals. So if you are prepared to cater to the specific verticals, then you are ready to face the world. Now, regarding management education, these are few points. These are the ambit where management education plays an important role. And last but not the least, what is also important is that though the future of work is going to be transparent, where you have to adapt, the core skills of managing education, managing technology, managing behavior is not going to change. And that's why this holistic approach is much important. And future of work, what we have to remember is that there are certain transferable skills like communication, critical thinking, problem solving will become increasingly important. And here, this education will help you out. And with every technological disruption, there will be competitiveness. So you have to run ahead of the competition. There are a percentage of students growing, there are knowledge is available at the fingertips. So that's why you have to differentiate yourselves through constantly learning, unlearning, and relearning. So Alvin Toffler, who is one of the futurists, he had said that the 21st century illiterates will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who will not be able to unlearn, relearn, and make them strategize. So it is very important. And what is happening is with the advent of machines, robotics, AI, and machine learning, we also are moving towards an age where human being is going to compete with the machines. So there are certain job descriptions like head of machine personality design strategists. These are coming in where management education again is going to play a very crucial role. So everything is going to be in the ambit of technical details and management of those technicalities. So they need to understand the key trends and technology affecting industry and the world of work. Now we will look into the analytics part of it. We have now looked into, we have ম্যাডাম আমি আজকে কোনো পিপিটি শেয়ার করছি না, সো কারণ একটু ব্যান্ডউইথ ইস্যুস আছে সেই জন্য।
ও আচ্ছা, ওকে স্যার।
Okay. So am I audible?
Okay.
That's the main thing. Are you able to hear?
Yeah, we are able to hear.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, sure. So now we will be looking into the analytics part of it. So analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence. Now, the most important job description that is now coming out as the hottest in the industry is this big data and analytics scenario. And within that big data and analytics, the most important aspect that is creating buzz in the entire market is about predictive analytics, which has a very informal definition of predictive analytics is it is the power to predict who will click, buy, lie, or die. So prediction is the holy grail of targeting marketing in various domains. For example, transactions, whether they are going to be fraudulent, understanding what sort of insurance requirements for that particular genre. These are the type of applications, and many more applications and operations across the enterprise have the potential to add value using this predictive analytics. But if you look at, isn't prediction supposed to be impossible? The only thing certain is uncertainty. The weather can only be predicted, but human behavior, no less challenging to predict. So how can you put credibility on a field that has the audacity to call itself predictive analytics? That's a credibility question, and the answer to it actually defines why it is gaining popularity as a subject and why you as students should pursue it. There are a lot of students who think that, yes, I have been exposed to statistics to some level during my curriculum. So it's very cool, and I will be able to do predictive analytics. Yes, you have some sort of added advantage because knowing certain nuances of algorithms being used in predictive analytics is cool. But predictive analytics itself is much more cooler than statistics. So why we will discuss. Uh, I'm not sure whether you have heard of a person called Nate Silver. Nate Silver is the #1 New York Times blogger. And his claim to fame was in 2012 presidential elections in the United States of America. He had accurately predicted the election results across the states. Now, people wonder if that is predictive analytics. The answer is a big no. What he did was has given an overall trend across the states where the Democrats are going to win. Now, this is called forecasting. Now, forecasting is again a statistical tool. In contrast, in 2012, the predictive analytics team of President Obama used a more advanced form of predictive analytics, which is called a persuasion modeling, to check if this particular individual wants to vote for Obama and whether his behavior can be influenced using the right campaign. Now, if you shift this entire journey of what they did to a marketing campaign now, the same way it applies, whether the consumer behavior, we are not only going to predict how they're going to behave, but can we influence those decisions? So you will see that today, when you search for a particular thing in Google, perhaps Facebook and Amazon starts giving you recommendations. That's predictive analytics in practice. So predictive analytics actually does per individual score, and accordingly, those individuals are being provided with things that they might like. Now, this prediction influences behavior, and through behaviors, a bottom line of an organization is being run. A lot of ethical questions have also come in this ambit of analytic studies, because this also intrudes privacy, and there had been a lot of work around it. And that's why you will see that the GDPR compliances, the India is also preparing the India data strategy. And very soon, India will also have their own data protection act. So obviously, certain intrusions and privacy related issues will be taken care of. But at the same time, the analytics will also have an opportunity to actually match the potential consumer requirements with the organizations, where it will have a lot of value. So if you see that it has a market size of $6.5 billion in 2020, the COVID period, and it's still growing at an annual rate of 30% CAGR. 84% of marketing leaders will increase. #1 priority for CIOs across organizations is predictive analytics. LinkedIn's number two hottest skills that get people hired is predictive analytics. Harvard's most coveted job of the 21st century is predictive analytics. So you see that it plays a big role. If you have read or seen the movie Moneyball, how a baseball team who did not have a lot of money, but actually using predictive analytics score, chose the most effective players and went on to win that particular edition of the baseball championships in the US. It shows the power of predictive analytics in the right direction. So if you have not watched this movie, please go and watch it. You will find very interesting insights. And the movie, the main character is played by Brad Pitt. So it's also another added incentive to watch that film. Now, one thing we need to keep in mind is that though predictive analytics is basically crunching data, data in itself is not a very interesting thing for many people. And perhaps those who crunch data are termed as nerds or nerdy people. But you have to remember that predictive analytics is a technology that learns from experience. It's a collective record of experience of the organization. And if you are learning from it and using predictive models well at individual behavior level in future, you will be able to drive better decisions. So how do you drive better decisions? First, let us understand what is the difference between predictive analytics and machine learning as a terminology. Machine learning is more of a theoretical and an academic terminology for predictive analytics, while predictive analytics uses this as a practical in a business model approach. Both uses the same algorithms like decision trees, naive Bayes, etc. But at the same time, they do predictive analytics does it on an individual level. Predicting better than guessing. It is not that they are going to predict 100% correct. It is not required. If you can predict it better than guessing, your bottom line shift is huge. I will show you by giving you an example. If you consider a simple organization who has a per contact cost of rupees 2. Now consider that they have a database of 1 lakh people. So his cost would be 2 lakh. Now 1% response rate, he will make 2 lakh 20. So his bottom line will be 20,000 rupees after spending 2 lakh. While if I consider predictive analytics, if I know that from this 1 lakh people, the 25% of them are more response. So I will actually consider 25,000 people. Now of these 25,000 people, if I have chosen them and my model works correctly in the predictive analytics, I will receive a shift of 3 times. And what will happen is I will save 75% of marketing cost while my profit will become 5 times. And that's how predictive analytics has a huge role. And that's why the predictive analytics job market is looking so brilliant today. And that's why predictive analytics is going to stay. And if you see that predictive analytics is the only market in the world today where the supply is less than the demand. So you have a huge, huge opportunity if you are able to move into this domain. So some sort of correlations happen. And that's where predictive analytics also plays a very interesting role. So if you see certain correlations, you will actually, in a normal eye, you will never find this to be actually related. But predictive analytics has the ability to bring out this sort of informed decisions. So one of them is people using credit cards in bars are less likely to pay their credit card bills on time. It has been tested by a particular bank. People who buys felt pads, the felt pads are the ones which are actually put under the chair bottom so that it does not put scratches in the floor. Now people who buys felt pads have been found to be paying their credit card bills on time. People who like curly fries on Facebook are found to be more intelligent. So if you see the wide variety, the possibilities are endless. And even in insurance premium, they are actually putting in devices to track your driving patterns, and your insurance premium will be charged accordingly. So the ambit of management and analytic studies is wide, it has the opportunity, but what you have to learn is you have to prepare your mindset that yes, perhaps while in your career journey, you will face a few roadblocks. You will think, what have I done? What am I doing? But you have to be agile enough to adjust to the requirements of that particular time and accordingly readjust yourself. And that's where a holistic education, where management and analytics is there, plays a big role for you to open up your horizons, prepare those mindsets so that you are able to adjust and adapt to the changing requirements of the 21st century, where everything is complex and changing at a very rapid pace. Then you will be on your path to lead and conquer, to create your path to future career success. Thanks a lot. It was great to have you all patiently listening to my monologue today. And extremely apologetic because I could not share the PPT due to the bandwidth issues. However, I'm sure that what message I was trying to drive, I have been able to put across. Thanks a lot. Over to you, madam.
Thank you so much, sir. Students, we are open for the question answer session now. What you can do is you can type the question and we will answer the questions to you. You can type in the chat box. Whatever questions you are having, students, you can write in the chat box. All are requested to write in the chat box. If you have any questions, you can write in the chat box. We are open to take the questions from you. Okay, I have a question from Shayantan Chatterjee. BCA plus MCA. Okay, is BCA plus MCA without having mathematics in 12th worth it? Sir, can you see the question? Shantan has typed the question.
Where should I see it? In the chat box?
In the chat box? I'm reading the question for you, sir. He
Yeah,
has written that whether BCA plus MCA without having mathematics in plus 12, is it worthy? Like right now, we all know that the criteria is no longer prevailing. So they are not supposed to be having math mandatorily for opting for BCA. So the question is it worthy? Like if the student is not having mathematics, is it worthy to do BCA plus MCA?
Yeah. This question has two dimensions to it. First is whether the student is absolutely agnostic towards mathematics. Because see, mathematics, what happens is subject wise, people may not be faring very well in that subject, but some sort in your daily life, everything is related to mathematics. So if you keep on doing those things, then mathematics, what is required for applying yourself, if you have that, then you can pursue this. But if you are agnostic towards doing any sort of mathematics and you only want to be in that domain, that since this is a very lucrative career I want to pursue, then you should definitely not do it. But remember one thing, that if you, after doing a BCA and an MCA, you will be put across organizations in the IT sector where you do not have to do mathematics regularly, but application of mathematics in some way or the other, be it in coding, be it in analyzing, be it in consulting, will always be there. So be prepared to have that mindset that yes, if some sort of mathematics is required, I will perhaps use it or learn it if I am unable to fathom at that point in time, and I will be prepared for applying that in my scenario. If you're ready for that, then this career option is good. If you're not, then you should not.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Any other questions? Any other questions regarding business analytics? Okay, Shantan has again typed, will I face any problem in getting jobs? I'm from arts background and what should I choose? Diploma or BTech CAC or BCA plus MCA? What should I do? Whether I'll be having any problem in getting a job? That is the main question.
It doesn't matter actually. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether you are from an arts or a science or a commerce background. What matters is whether you are actually trying to apply yourself. You are willing to learn the nuances of a particular career path that is best suited for you. Now, what will be best suited for you? You have to identify what is your interest, what are your actual capabilities, and accordingly you align it with your opportunities. Just don't go into a particular field because that's very lucrative and my friends are doing it. That's what I said in my talk as well, that opportunities have to be aligned with your inner strength and capabilities. You as an art student, if you feel that yes, I have that ability in me to do something in an application environment, you are more than welcome. And I have seen many a times many people from this background doing exceptionally well. Not and it There is a myth that perhaps the people coming from the arts background are more prone towards the graphical or the visual representation of it. It's not necessarily true. I have also seen people in the consulting background where they have come from the arts field and have succeeded. So it completely depends on that particular individual to actually identify his strengths and weaknesses and then choose his career path.
Shantan, hope you have got your answer. Any further questions? Any further questions? You may write it in the chat box. I think no more questions.
So I think they are quite overwhelmed. So best option is when we used to do those interactive sessions, what used to happen is we could interact with individually to all of them. That gives an opportunity to interact.
Okay, one more question we have got. Is MCA and BTech CSE equivalent?
Yes, of course. And if you have a better opportunity now the question again arises is, if you are studying MCA at Jadavpur University and you are studying BTech in maybe some distant college, so obviously you will choose a institution which has a better ranking. That's a rule of a thumb. The rest again depends on your choice, what you want to do, and accordingly you will be choosing. But these are equivalent degrees.
Okay, there's another question, sir. Ritam has asked, will I face any problem in computer because I didn't have computer during my 11th and 12th?
I couldn't get it. Can you be a bit louder?
He has asked that whether he will face any problem in computer because he did not have any computer during his 11th and 12th class.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter actually. Computer is such a subject that if you want to learn, you can learn at the age of 75 as well. If you have that mindset to actually put your thoughts. So NIIT had a very interesting research done in their Jharkhand office. What they had seen that a few people from the tribal areas, so while going to their shops and all, they would actually try to figure out what NIIT is doing inside. And there were people ranging age group from 7 to 70. So what they did as an experiment was they created a hole in the outside wall and they put up a desktop there. And using the desktop, these people who were actually loitering around to figure out what these guys are doing without having any formal training, these guys from 7 to 70 had actually figured out how to type, how to look at the computer. So it is such a subject that if you actually want to put it inside, you will be able to figure it out. So you have to have that mindset that yes, I want to learn this, I want to move into this career path. So whether I am able to put my learning towards it and put that effort with hard work and sincerity, then I will be able to succeed. And that applies to any field, obviously. But here, there are lots of opportunities that you can actually grab.
Okay, thank you. So there's another question by Sanjeet. He has said, sir, I don't have mathematics in class 12, but would it be good if I take BBA Analytics, Business Analytics?
Again, as I said earlier, that mathematics as a subject, perhaps you do not have. But do you have a mathematical mindset where you want to see things with an observant mindset? You want to actually observe and you do not get bogged down by seeing numbers. If you really get bogged down by seeing numbers, then analytics obviously is not your choice. Since you are going to day in and day out look into the data, trying to figure out what is happening, and you have to make better decisions using that data. So you have to have a mathematical mindset where you actually investigate, observe, and accordingly try to do it. If you have that mindset, then without having mathematics at class 12, also you will be able to apply in business analytics. And while doing that, whatever is needed to learn from the mathematical or the statistical tools, that will automatically be part of the curriculum. And certain things which are not there today, the entire internet has knowledge in your fingertips. If you're willing to succeed in a particular field, you can actually go and search, and you will have plethora of choices to actually guide you wherever you are lacking in your skills. So just figure out whether you have that mindset to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Then just go ahead. Doesn't matter whether you have it in class 12 or not. It will matter whether you want to apply yourselves. That's very, very important.
Thank you, sir. Similar question again asked by Shayantan Chatterjee. Does companies recruit MCA students if they don't have mathematics or computer application in class 12?
Absolutely. There are a lot of examples. I have many students who had been recruited, and they are doing quite well, who do not have leave alone mathematics. They were completely from the arts background and doing really well in the corporate sector.
Any more questions?
Arnav sir,
Yeah,
I think students have a kind of belief that they have to do this mathematical work from the scratch.
Hmm.
Because
So
these
math,
days everything is application driven. They have to apply, they have to work on the data using those application, which would definitely be,
absolutely,
fundamentally on the mathematical backbone. We'll have the mathematical backbone, but they do not need to, do the mathematical work at the kind of stage where
absolutely, and
a BBA in analytics will
exactly,
work. So
absolutely.
that is where I think
So
students have a kind of doubt.
so there is nothing to worry. See, mathematics, why are people fearing mathematics? First, we need to understand that people fear mathematics because they are unable to perhaps solve a particular set of problems
Correct.
using those
Absolutely.
mathematical tools. Now today there are softwares, there are computational tools that the mathematical tools will actually perform. So where you are fearing that perhaps I have to do certain set of calculations, I have to put certain set of algorithms which I will not be able to fathom, for that there are tools.
Absolutely.
But you have to have that in mind, what sort of tools is needed where, and that's where your analytical mindset is going to play a big role, whether you are able to fathom that as a subject, that in a strategic thing, I need this sort of an algorithm, while when I am trying to drive decisions for my marketing operations team, my analytics will go in this direction. If you have that, then the rest will be done by the software, the computational tools. So nothing to worry. You will actually get the results through that. So those are at your fingertips. Just prepare yourself such that you will be able to apply them in the right direction. So
Absolutely,
nothing
sir.
to worry about.
So what we understand is that the right kind of mindset, that mathematical mindset is required to
Absolutely.
understand which tool to use when there is a requirement. So
Yes.
that particular
And exactly
mindset, if
that,
you have,
and that's exactly will be taught during the curriculum, that how you actually analyze these things, how you understand where a regression modeling would be required, and where I within that regression modeling I move into a logistic regression. So what is the difference between these two algorithms, and why this algorithm will be applied here? So these will automatically be taught, and while the calculation of these two things will be done by the computational tools.
thank you, sir, for throwing light on the matter. I have been listening to your talk very attentively, even though I was initially on the road during that time I spoke with you. And I found that you have actually spoken more on the predictive analytic part, which is, of course, one of the three pillars of business analytics.
Correct.
There are two other pillars like descriptive and prescriptive analytics as well. I just want to have an understanding in this area. Probably this understanding may not help the students. Wherein, when a fresher is actually incorporated in a company as a masters in business analytics or bachelor in business analytics, which particular area they actually work in?
They
What type
actually
of
work.
work actually the freshers need to do when they actually get into a company as a entry level analytic?
Correct. So what you are talking about, descriptive and prescriptive, these are all what we actually do in the academic world. So in business applications, when you are in an organizational setup, whatever is done through prediction. Even the recommendations and all are incorporated within that purview. So predicting, recommending, everything comes under that purview, and that's why it is called business analytics. So business analytics
Okay.
is actually understanding what is the requirement, what is the problem that I'm going to solve. Then using this sort of understanding, I will crunch the data, prepare the model using predictive analytics, and then I will recommend what should be the path for me so that I will follow that. So this entire journey is the purview of big data and analytics or business analytics in a corporate setup. So when a fresher joins in, they are first inducted to actually how the data is being crunched. So what sort of data is being cleaned? How are these data cleaned? Why do we need to clean that data? So these are the orientations that a fresher goes through. And once the fresher goes through that, over a period of time, they would be thrown into different problems that has come to the organization. And within that organization, they will then move up step by step towards the journey of creating the recommendation. So there are steps where the freshers will be thrown in. First and foremost would be to understand and look at data. That's where predictive analytics is important, since predictive analytics give you an opportunity to actually peel the data like an onion and see the inside. And that's where the courses like this, business analytics, even in the undergrad and graduate level, helps them to actually hone those skills, so that once they are thrown into that world of data, so even if they perhaps in their course material, they would be exposed to R and Python as language. Now what happens is, now R will throw in a particular model. Now this model perhaps is not required in a particular organization. So to understand if this model is not applied, which one should I apply? That's why
Correct.
you need to do a data crunching to understand what sort of tools are being used here. So suppose we were doing a particular analytics for an organization where we were supposed to predict sales. Now over a period of time, we had to actually understand the timelines. Now, if you look at a normal data crunching method, what happens is in that timeline, you will see a consistent growth in that company. But what happened
Right.
was when we did this time series decomposition, we found a bit of noise between two particular time zones. And there were some declining areas as well. Now, these declining areas, then when we probed, we found out that those two are the dealers or subsidiaries which were not doing the same level of growth sales that the other outlets were doing. So
Okay.
then we found out the actual reason and then we recommended. Now, in this journey, the freshers were doing this entire journey of understanding what sort of data these outlets have thrown in, and then the decomposition analysis and were done by the senior management team.
Sir, thank you for this, explaining what the freshers actually do. Because I think a lot of students, those who would be joining this program, will always have this question in their mind that what
Absolutely.
I do when I join. One
Correct.
more question. This one is absolutely for the students. That we have seen when the students undertake a program, they actually just follow the flow of the program. They just follow the academic curriculum. They appear in the semester examinations and then finally they complete with their course. That's a common type of tendency we see among the students. Business analytics being such a vast subject, everything cannot be incorporated in the academic curriculum. Some students will always try to do better. Some students will always try to excel, try to be into the top notch, IT companies doing the best kind of work they are offering. Now, what in addition to the curriculum, such students need to follow so that they can, gain a kind of respectable career in this particular domain?
Absolutely, absolutely. Brilliant question, Devashish. This is exactly what is happening. If you see a lot of Economic Times report also says this, that majority of the students coming out of Indian colleges are unemployable. The sole reason
Absolutely.
is the sole reason is you are following a particular curriculum. Now, what happens is, see, even if we are bringing in the new age curriculum, terming them, but perhaps the curriculum is designed based on the few fundamental things which cannot actually take in the fast pace that the industry is moving. So perhaps today I am teaching them about a decision tree in a data mining format that was done 20 years back. The student is not going to be able to apply that in his corporate setup when he joins in. So what he needs to do is at the same time understand data mining as a fundamental basis from the curriculum, but also start reading about the industry trends. There are a lot of analytics blog, there are a lot of YouTube videos that actually throws light on the current level of work. Even if you see the banking sector looking into the credit card frauds, that in itself was a huge business analytics opportunity. Now post COVID, what has happened is, over and on top of this credit card fraud, there are a lot of challenges that has been posed since, due
Absolutely.
to the post COVID scenario, many
Correct.
people who used to visit banks have stopped visiting banks, and they have
Right.
also now moved into the digital domain. So
Right.
that is also changed. Now if a person is learning only how these things are done according to the curriculum, they will not be able to fathom when they are thrown into the corporate setup once they are joining an organization. So that's why they need
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
understand what and where the industry is shaping, and accordingly, if there are certain better inputs that may not be utilized in your examination, but that will actually help you hone those skills to actually appear for the placement examination, or when you are applying yourself in your job, that will give you an added advantage, because that will be your USP. Since knowledge is at fingertips, since knowledge is so readily available today, so how do you differentiate? You differentiate by actually moving one step ahead of your competition, and your competition here unfortunately is your fellow students.
Absolutely, sir. Very well said, sir. Very well said. Sir, now when you say this, what as an institute we can do to
Hmm.
create a platform for the students, because this is a pilot batch, this is going to be the pilot batch for us, and
Hmm.
probably this is the time when institute can also shape itself in a way so that they can also give some hands-on right kind of exposure to the students in the analytics domain, so the students can like have that first hand experience in business analytics from the institute itself. And probably
Right.
for that, institute may also need to create a kind of setup where they can
Hmm.
also give that real-time flavor to the students in this particular domain. It is our opportunity and a privilege that we have a resourceful person like you associated with the institute. Sir, we would request your guidance so that institute can also build some kind of setup, not large but
Mhm.
adequate enough to give that first time in hand exposure to the students, that this is how business analytics work, not just curriculum but a real time exposure.
Like,
I know internship is there, but that would probably start at a particular level. But from
hmm.
the very first day, if institute can also create a kind of dummy setup for itself, wherein students can continuously work and
Hmm.
have that exposure, that this is how the we need to actually work in the real world, that flavor, what all we need to do, if you can also guide us, not today, not right now,
No, no,
but if you
definitely.
can give your inputs, we would like to do that. I think that will
Surely.
actually make us unique in terms of in a way our institute is offering a
Hmm.
hands-on business analytics program to the students.
Correct,
And I
correct.
think that is the mantra to grow, otherwise there is no way we can like as an institute we can grow and do better.
Yeah, so that I think we would also require a bit of brainstorming as well. What
Absolutely.
exactly is the capacity and how you want to actually go about it, so that we can take it offline once I can also visit and have a discussion. That's not an issue.
Absolutely.
One thing.
Absolutely.
Second thing, I thought I will put it across. I currently am associated with an institute called Praxis Business School. I don't know whether you have heard of its name or not.
I know.
Yeah, so Praxis is now providing a curriculum in business analytics, as and it has been ranked as the #1 business analytics course. So if you see in the day zero placements of Praxis Business School, so a lot of international placements have also happened this year.
Okay.
So I had been mentoring their students for quite some time now. What I have noticed is two things that is very important to actually keep yourself abreast with the outside world, what is happening in the analytics domain. What you can do is expose your students to the latest analytic things or trends that are happening across. Give them some sort of analytical problems or dummy hackathon type of problems where they can start understanding and visualizing. See, analytics has different steps, and the first step is correctly identifying the problem and defining the problem statement.
Absolutely.
If you are unable to do that, then you will not be able to do the rest of the steps. So this is the first and foremost important point, that how do you define the problem statement. So if you can give them exposure to these, that these are the things. So there are different domains, like in the banking I have talked about, in the insurance I have talked about, in the manufacturing setup there are a lot of opportunities, even in the marketing setups. So I currently did a project with an organization called Avery Dennison in India. So Avery Dennison is the largest printers for all sorts of, from liquors to vaccines. So
Okay.
whatever labels that you see in them is done by Avery Dennison.
Okay.
So even the COVID vaccine labelings were also done by them. So what was happening is, while printing these labels, they didn't have a clue on where they have to align or stop the printing, because after a certain point in time in those papers, a black patch was coming in, and they had to actually, after printing, they have to discard those labels because those labels were not accepted by the organizations. Now
Okay.
it used to have a huge cost burden for them. So how we looked into the speed sensor data and then analyzed where the threshold point is, and after that this black patch comes in, that was a part of our analytics job. And there what happened is, the organization itself was unable to define the problem well. They were saying this is coming in, so it could be a quality data. Some people said this would be perhaps the paper manufacturers from whom we are acquiring the papers, it's their issue. So they were unable to define the problem statement, and that's where we did a diagnostic study to actually find out what the exact problem is. When we actually found out, then the rest was done much easier. So expose the students to define the problem statement well. So even if they are unable to figure out, why are they not being able to figure out what exactly is the problem? Because there could be certain pseudo problems which are shown as symptoms. Perhaps these are not the underlying problems. So you have to keep them abreast with what is happening in the real world. So for that, expose them, creating an analytics lab, expose them to these sort of trends, this sort of readings, this sort of videos, this sort of problem hackathons, where they can actually sharpen this.
Sir, very interesting. And I thank you really for sharing your project experience. Now, the students present here will be able to understand the huge scope of analytics. At least I can talk about myself that I never had an idea that analytics is also there in printing a level.
Exactly,
So
exactly. This is
this
exactly
is a
where
huge, I
analytics,
mean,
huge opportunity.
absolutely. I mean, thank you so much for sharing your project experience. I hope the students are really benefited to know this.
I can see a message from Shayantan Chatterjee. He had written BCA plus MCA or BCA plus MSc in computer science. Now, BCA plus MCA gives you an opportunity towards working on real life projects, towards computer applications, and go into the corporate sector. But if you are actually trying to pursue MSc in computer science, you are going more into the in-depth knowledge of it. Your opportunity from BSc computer science will not be in the corporate but be in the academics. So it depends on whether you want to fit yourself in the academic domain or you want to put yourself in the corporate domain. First you have to understand that what is your calling. First identify that and then accordingly choose the master's degree. Because both after, even after doing MSc in computer science, I have seen, even after doing MCA and MSc in computer science, people have gone on to do MTech or people have gone on to do MBA. So you first decide. Since people are unable to decide, what happens is you lose crucial few years unable to look into. So if you actually, after MSc, if you really want to go into the management domain and do an MBA, so you have wasted 3 years plus 2 years, 5 years of your career. So why not bring that down to BCA plus MBA then? Try to apply yourselves there. Figure out exactly what I want to do. If you have doubts, go to your teachers, your faculty members. They are there to help you out.
Thank you, sir. We have got one more question from Satyajit. Can we get an idea of what exactly we are having on statistics in analytics? Statistics in analytics.
We again have a lot of things from statistics. So I do not want to scare anybody, but at the same time, again, think of it from application part of it. It's not the theoretical statistical things that you read in your curriculum. Here you will be requiring perhaps what are the degrees of freedom. Why do I need to understand what a p value is? So why taking or training a model, why the significance of this p value? So these are basic fundamental things that you need to know, but the rest will be done by the computational tools. You need to understand what the after computing, when somebody is throwing in that the p value is greater than 75%, whether it makes sense for me to understand. I have to understand that. For understanding that, I need to know the fundamentals of it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay, any more questions from the students? I think, sir, no more questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much sir, for the enlightenment. Now I would request our training and placement head, Mr. Debashish Bokshi, sir, to address the students. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you. But after this talk that Arnav sir has delivered, I do not think I have much to say to the students.
No,
With the
Devashish,
kind of
please
with the
please
kind
go
of
ahead. And
with the
I think coming from your experience in the training and placement in across institutions, you have also interacted with a lot of placement heads, and you have also have a fair share of experience in understanding what the industry is shaping towards it. So please go ahead and share that experience. I am also very keen to learn from you.
sir, it's a privilege. Thank you so much. We always, like when we undertake a program, undertake any program, our primary focus is to uh, understand what are the opportunities existing, and after we complete this program, whether I will be able to get a gainful employment. For the ones, for the majority ones, those who look out for employment only, there are of course 2 to 5% students those who have other plans. So whenever we undertake a program, that is a primary thing which we have in our mind. And I believe the way analytics has taken over the entire industry, and it is not only about the top notch companies, it is also about the small businesses that have incorporated this analytics into their decision making process. I think there cannot be any further debate about the amount of opportunities which is existing. From this today's lecture of Arnav sir, you must have understood the enormous opportunities. Also, please do consider the project experience of Arnav sir about that level that he just told all of us. You understand the opportunities there into, even though it is a simple thing, it is just not a simple thing. It is something that was eating up the head of that company, eating up the brain of that company as to how to stop it, how to stop the losses. And that is where analytics is also coming up to help. So you understand the amount of opportunities. It's just not a business decision making process. It is also making business processes cost effective, efficient, and user friendly. So that is where the opportunity of analytics lies in. And there cannot be, like I said, any debate as to why students should undertake a business analytics program like this. Uh, Now, what business analytics does, it deals with data, and it is all about data these days. People say data is gold. In a very broader sense, I'm telling you, I understand that you are students and you do not want to go deeper. But if you follow certain statistics, that about 70% of the small businesses have have been into business analytics. They are taking the decision based on data. And amount of data which has been generated these days, I think if I talk about till 2020, it is huge. I mean, some hundreds of zettabytes of data that is being generated by 2022, by 2020, if I am not wrong, if I remember the data correctly. And the spending in data analytics is about $275 billion. It is supposed to be $275 billion by 2025. So you understand one thing, that when so much of investment is pouring in to a particular domain, what kind of opportunities can rest? It is huge, and it is quite sure that students from any background, those who want to do something in this particular domain, those who have the basic skills that Arnav sir mentioned, the analytical skills, the problem solving skills, your communication skills, and the right kind of mindset. It's not your mathematical mindset is required because it deals in statistics. But like Arnav sir said, that you need to only understand the fundamental part of it. Arnav sir said, how do you interpret the p value? That is important. If p value is greater than this, what would be the interpretation? If p value is less than 1, what would be the interpretation? That is the fundamental thing you need to know. So students from any background, being an arts, commerce, or science, are most welcome to embrace a career in business analytics vertical. I talk about opportunities, placement opportunities. We are a institute which has already completed almost 23 years. We have completed our 23 years. And to be very precise, if I talk about the placements, we are a partner institute of the top MNCs. To talk about Cognizant, we are a partner. We are a partner since 2005. You can imagine how old, I mean, how long we have been a partner of Cognizant. Infosys, almost the same, 2005 or 6. We have been a partner of Accenture since last year. HCL is our partner. Wipro is our partner. Capgemini is our partner. When I talk about our partnership with these companies, it is a deeper partnership. It's just not a loose partnership. So it is not just placement that we get from these companies. It is also the academic support. It is also the extracurricular support that we get from these companies. And these companies do not come invite our students to join in a kind of off campus or pool campus. They we formally invite these companies. They come to our college physically or virtually, and they hire in numbers. If I talk about numbers, last year Cognizant hired 200 plus students. Infosys had 100 plus students. Accenture had about 98 students, about 88 students. Wipro 116. So that is a bulk number that a kind of that these companies hire from our campuses each year, from our campus each year. So, and these companies, you see, all these companies are actually working in business analytics. And there is a constant requirement in these companies in business analytics. In our main campus, we have launched the MTech program in data science, which is nothing but actually connected to business analytics only. So you understand there is no dearth of opportunity in terms of if you undergo a career in BBA in analytics from our institute, it is almost assured that if you have that minimum potential, if you are sincere, if you have moderate problem solving skills, analytical skills, and communication skills, you can land up to a respectful, you would be able to gain a respectful offer. There is no doubt about it. Students, those who are good or those who are exceptionally good, obviously will get much better offer. In our campus this year, the average compensation For engineers have been 5.6. I'm sure for the bachelor programs like BC and BBA, it is no less than 3 LPA. And business analytics is such a demanding domain, and it comes with a good salary package for the freshers as well. If I talk about the average salary package of a BBA in analytics student candidate, the average package will no less than be 4 to 5 lakhs. Obviously, when I talk about placement, we will not crack an interview for you. It is you at the end of the day who has to perform, who has to sit in front of the interviewer and talk. You have to show that you have something to put on the table. Only when they will hire you. In your 3 years journey, you have to make yourself able enough. We will be providing you with all necessary support so that you develop those required skills to crack an interview process, to successfully clear the selection rounds, and finally land up to a respectable offer. Do not worry about the opportunities. With the kind of industry connect BP Poddar Institute of Management and Technology has, there will be no dearth of opportunity for you, and no question about such a budding domain like BBA in analytics. There will be no dearth at all. If you have any questions, you can definitely ask me, or with this, I would like to end my talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Students, you can ask questions to sir. Students, if you have any query, you can ask.
Madam, there is a question from Shayantan, but I think this question equally applies to all. So I'm reading it out. Does FAANG companies recruit MCA or they only prefer BTech? Now, FAANG, if people are not aware, it includes Facebook, Apple, Alphabet, Netflix, and Google. So these organizations, let me be very frank and clear to you, these organizations have a policy to actually not look at degrees but competence. So you will find there are people who do not even have formal education and yet working in that organization in a very esteemed position. It's because formal degrees not necessarily give. Formal degrees help you in entry point. But if you do not have the competence built in yourself, you will in any ways not be recruited by any company. And if you have the competence and if you can build it strong enough, then FANG, irrespective of your degree, will take you. So remember that, build your confidence and you will be able to succeed.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions? Okay. So I think we have already reached the end of our today's session. Thank you so much, Dr. Arnob Basu, sir. Thank you so much, our training and placement head, Mr. Debashish Bokshi, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So with your permission, shall we close the session?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
sir. Debashish, sir.
Debashish, sir, can we close the session now?
Of course, ma'am. So more of similar sections would be very helpful, not only for the external students, but also for our own internal students. They would be really benefited.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So here we declare the end of our today's webinar. Thank you so much, all the participants, for attending, and hope it will be beneficial for you. Thank you so much. We are closing it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Arnob, sir. It is a
Thank
pleasure
you, thank
meeting
you.
you after a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's the same here. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank
bye.
you, sir.